the date, these 5 timelines, let's pursue this. These 5 timelines are exactly 24 hours off from the time where the event actually occurred, correct?
No. So these events occurred on January 30th. If I misspoke and said the 29th, yes.
Okay. You understand my point?
Yes, I do.
The core basis of your job, your role in this case, is to reconcile time discrepancies, as you say, down to the second, correct?
Correct.
But your discussion of the timeline on each of these slides, on each of these key events, is incorrect, correct?
No, it's not incorrect.
So your discussion of the applicable date, you're saying, as you described it yesterday and interpreted this timeline, was correct? Is that what you're saying now?
This timeline is correct,
But
yes.
my question is your discussion of it yesterday.
If I misspoke and said the 29th, then yes, I misspoke on that, yes.
And that was your testimony yesterday, what you spoke about.
Yes.
Let's turn to a different topic. Lights up, if we could, and thank you for taking that down, Mr. Wu. Actually, to mitigate the inconsistencies that you analyzed yesterday between independent clocks, am I correct that your position is that forensic methodology recommends cross-referencing timestamps from multiple sources to identify discrepancies, and when possible, leveraging time anchors, events that contain both a system timestamp and an external physical event to identify and correct timing discrepancies? Do I have that right?
Yes, you did.
Yesterday, we talked about the scientific method. You recall that, sir?
I do.
And how it's designed to prevent bias from infecting the analysis. You recall that as well?
Yes, I do.
And yesterday, you agreed that experts should never selectively gather and interpret evidence to confirm a pre-existing belief while neglecting evidence that contradicts those beliefs, correct?
Correct.
And doing that is called confirmation bias, which you said you understood yesterday, right?
That is correct.
That would be improper to do that, correct?
Yes.
It would raise the specter, if not the reality, of unreliability if that occurred, correct?
It could, yes.
And it could also lead into errors in forensic analyses, correct?
Correct.
Let's take a look at your January 30th report, sir.
Okay.
And this is your first report, your second report being the May 8th report. In your January 30th report, you did not issue any opinion or conclusion with regard to the timing of what you called the text stream event 11/62/2 in your January 30th report, did you?
No, I did not.
You didn't even mention either the phrase text stream event or the phrase 11/62/2 in your January 30, 2025 report, did you?
No, I did not.
But in that January 30, 2025 report, you did evaluate the variance between the Lexus infotainment system on the one hand and Mr. O'Keefe's iPhone data on the other, correct?
Correct.
In fact, in that report, the January 30th report, you compared the call logs on Ms. Read's Lexus infotainment system with the call logs on Mr. O'Keefe's iPhone in order to evaluate whether there was a variance, correct?
Correct.
And do I have it correct in your report that it's the position that the timestamp call log data, specifically the recorded calls between Ms. Read and Mr. O'Keefe, along with the infotainment power event logs, were analyzed for what you called clock skew by cross-referencing them against other independent data sources, right?
No, so that would have been comparing the timestamps from Mr. O'Keefe's iPhone with the timestamps from the defendant's Lexus.
Right.
Correct, yes.
Yes. Right, to Ms. Read's Lexus.
Correct.
And a forensic comparison of these data sets was aimed to identify timestamp discrepancies, correct?
Correct.
To identify potential clock skew, correct?
Correct.
And potential clock drift that could impact event reconstruction, correct?
Correct.
All this stated in your January 30th report, right?
Correct.
I'm at moment. Your Honor, may I have this marked as the next exhibit in order for identification?
Yes.
Excuse me.
Sure.
Did the BBB for ID? Thank you.
May I present to the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Burgess, I am presenting to you what has been marked as Exhibit BBB for identification. I'd ask you to take a look at it, sir, and then pick your head up when you've had a fair opportunity to take a look at it.
Okay, sure.
Do you recognize that document, sir?
I do.
May I reapproach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Thank you. What do you recognize that document to be, sir?
Sure, so this is a graph that I put together that is comparing timestamps, call timestamps from the infotainment module with Mr. O'Keefe's iPhone.
And is that Exhibit BBB for identification in your January 30, 2025 report?
Yes, it is.
And did you create that chart that is depicted in Exhibit BBB for identification?
Yes, I did.
And is that a fair and accurate representation of the information that you discussed in page 33 of your January 30, 2025 report?
Yes, it is.
I offer Exhibit BBB for identification into evidence, Your Honor.
If we can introduce the whole report to put it in
Why don't I
context.
see you at sidebar instead of before?
Okay, so you notice Hank Brennan doesn't have an objection to the jury seeing it. He's saying put the whole thing in its entirety. This became a mess. Understand going backwards because it was the defense team's expert, their paid expert, who did not analyze portions of that data. And this prosecution team caught it, bringing in their own expert, this guy here on the stand, to do that analysis. And the defense is trying to find anything. They're really grasping here to try to find something wrong with it because it is so damaging to Karen Read. Let's hit a break. When we come back, we'll see what comes of the sidebar. This is Court TV Live, where your front row seat to justice.
We want to understand the mindset behind your actions in this case.
I'm going to give you a news scoop.
What happened?
I did it.
Very funny, really. I'm laughing. Do you see me? I laugh.
I don't want any of this.
Do you think you should get some kind of credit for not killing people?
Not at all, no.
You are a shrewd operator.
Interview with a Killer. Memorial Day Marathon starting Monday, 11:10 Central. Only on Court TV.
I'm Kelly Craft in New York, covering the Diddy sex trafficking trial. You're watching Court TV, your front row seat to justice.
All right, we're going to get a live report from Kelly Craft coming up in our next hour as testimony is officially back underway in Diddy's sex trafficking case. Former personal assistant David James returns to the stand. This is for more direct examination. And so this could be very key testimony going to perhaps the racketeering charge. Remember, these government prosecutors have to be able to establish what, if anything, agents of Diddy did if they were involved in any commission of any crimes as part of the overall business empire that prosecutors were saying he was leading in order to exert power and control over various women and commit numerous crimes. That is the allegation. He maintains his innocence. And remember, he's cloaked in that presumption of innocence. It's up to the government to prove what they have alleged. Now, Kelly Craft will be joining us in our next half hour. We've got our team in the courtroom and outside of the courthouse. So we've got you covered when it comes to Diddy. Now, let's go back to Massachusetts. The sidebar's over. We've got a digital analyst. And what the Commonwealth has done quite brilliantly is they're marrying the time on John O'Keefe's phone, that 12:32 a.m. time, with the time of 12:32 a.m. that Karen Read's SUV did a backing up maneuver. And the defense is trying to do anything it can to challenge that. Let's go back in.
Continue, Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you. Your Honor, at this time, I offer Exhibit BBB into evidence.
Okay.
Exhibit 189.
Thank you.
They represented to the witness, Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Burgess, I am represented to you what is now Exhibit 189 in evidence. Ask you to once again take a look at it, and if you need further time, please take it, sir, and then pick up your head when you've had a fair opportunity to look at that document.
Okay.
Despite claiming the purpose in your January 30 report of, quote, identifying timestamp discrepancies, potential clock skew, and clock drift, you did not compare the time of the three-point turn between the infotainment system in the Lexus SUV and Mr. O'Keefe's phone, did you?
Not at that time, no.
Instead, you identified the potential variance by analyzing various calls on the infotainment system of the Lexus versus Mr. O'Keefe's phone, correct?
Correct.
This data in that exhibit captures a precise moment in time that is easily compared between the two devices, correct?
Correct, it does.
Mr. Wolk, Your Honor, may Mr. Wolk please publish this exhibit?
Okay.
So this data, just to reestablish, captures a precise moment in time that's easily compared between the two devices, correct?
Correct.
Now, according to your own table, there are potential offsets of reading in the far right-hand column. 2 seconds. 1 second, 2 seconds, 1 second, 8 seconds, 16 seconds, and 21 seconds, correct?
Correct.
And yet, you failed to apply this variance to the infotainment time.
All right, I want to bring in our law enforcement analyst guest to really cut through this evidence and get to the point of it. Little do many of us know, Dr. Jason Piccolo has a master's in forensic science, so he knows all about computers and extracting data. All right, Dr. Jason, so cutting through a lot of the arguments and the theater, and I have to commend Robert Alessi. This is the first time I've ever seen him in trial. I never heard of him. I love how polite he is. Yesterday, he was really doing a lot of the fist pounding and getting loud, and I don't know how he could do it with a straight face after the bomb that was dropped about her car backing up at the exact time the victim's cell phone stops. But he makes it seem like this analyst knows nothing and everything's wrong. But is it? Is the data wrong? Is what this guy provided wrong? What do you say?
No, the data is correct. And he's picking it apart. And when I looked, it looks like he's trying to confuse a jury and saying, hey, you know what, this data doesn't match up with this because this date doesn't match up and your testimony is all false. But the data does match. He did an excellent job of it, and he's being very clear and concise with his responses. There is no reason that he would lie, and there's no reason that he would come up with false testimony in this.
Right. And the other thing is his testimony is in response to what their expert didn't include. It's not being talked about. I'm going to talk about it on this show because, I feel there's an obligation for people to have the whole story here, that it was the defense expert who didn't analyze those pieces of data. Therefore, the Commonwealth brought in this guy to do it. And we know they fought hard to keep him out. Dr. Jason Piccolo, it's always a pleasure having you on the show. Great analysis on this case and the Diddy case. We'll talk again very soon. Now, here's what we're going to do. We're going to hit a break. When we come back, we're talking Karen Read and Diddy some more. We'll go back live to Massachusetts and take you live to New York City as well. Thanks for being with us here on Court TV Live on this Tuesday morning. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julie Grant. We have our cameras all across the country for you today, and we're starting in Massachusetts in the retrial of defendant Karen Read. We've got a digital analyst on the stand who analyzed some pieces of black box data from Karen Read's SUV that her defense expert did not analyze. So the Commonwealth picked up on that and called in this witness from a company called Aperture. He testified to something very damaging on Monday, that the time of a backing up maneuver by Karen Read's SUV coincides exactly with the last time John O'Keefe's phone locks and stops moving until it continues dropping in temperature all night and is found the morning of January 29th, 2022. This expert is being rigorously cross-examined by one of Karen Read's defense attorneys. He started on Monday. He's continuing today. Let's go back in where we left off.
Lexus associated with the text stream event 1162-2, correct?
Correct. May I explain?
I will proceed along. I'm sure if Mr. Brennan has questions and wants you to explain, he may choose to do that. This is simple arithmetic, is it not? It's either an addition or a subtraction, the offset, correct?
Correct.
And yet, in your initial report, on January 30th, 2025, you did not take that final analytical step, did you?
No, because these clock variances do not apply to that time frame.
But you didn't take, you know what analytical step I'm talking about, correct?
No, I don't. I don't believe so.
We'll come back to it. I want to go focus on your opinion. What you did do, as I understand it, in your January 30th report. So, in your opinion, we can leave that up for a moment, please, because I want to see if we need to show the contrast. With your Honor's permission, can we leave it up just a little bit longer?
Yes.
Thank you. In opinion number 5, and please feel free to look at your January 30th report,
Sure.
you indicated only this. The difference between the Lexus infotainment and Mr. O'Keefe's cell phone ranged between 8 seconds and 16 to 21 seconds during the period between 5:21:36 a.m. and 5:30:31 a.m. on January 29, 2022. Do I have that correct?
Yes, between 5:21 and 5:30 a.m.
Yes. Now what I'd like to do is, and we can take that down, thank you, Mr. Woke. Let's talk about what information you learned after you issued your January 30, 2025 report. Or at the time of that report, you received and reviewed a copy of a portion of your colleague's slide presentation and report at Aperture, Dr. Judson Welcher, correct?
From a presentation by Mr. DeSogra. Yes.
Well,
correct.
I understand you want to add Mr. DeSogra. My question is...
Sustained.
Okay, yes, Your Honor. Thank you. I'm focusing on the, what would you like to call it? Do you call it a slide presentation you prefer, Dr. Welcher?
Sure, we can.
I want to use whatever parlance you're comfortable with.
Slide's fine, yeah.
Slide. So the slide presentation of Dr. Welcher that he submitted the same day you submitted your report on January 30, 2025. And in that, he analyzed the timing of the 11:62 what he calls an infotainment event, you call a text stream event, correct?
Well, could I see the slide we're talking about to clarify?
Absolutely. Could we publish what is in evidence of what is 188?
Okay.
And I'm also, sir, at your request, may I approach, please?
Yes.
At your request, I want to give you
Sure.
that, if we have 188, we'll just give them the actual marked exhibit. You know what we'll do? We'll use the slide. If you need an exhibit, we'll pull the exhibit and move it along. Please publish, Mr. Woke. Now, if we could enlarge the text, we don't need the map, so make that as large as you can, please, Mr. Woke, in the relevant portions. All righty. You're aware that according to Dr. Welcher's analysis, as depicted in this slide in evidence, the 11:62-2, what he calls an infotainment trigger that you call a text stream event, right?
Correct.
The 11:62-2 text stream event occurred at 12:31:38 a.m. on January 29, 2022, correct?
Correct.
And that's when it began, right?
That's when the trigger threshold was met, yes.
That's when the trigger threshold was met.
Correct.
You... We can take that down now, Mr. Woke. You also testified yesterday that you reviewed Mr. Whiffen, Mr. Ian Whiffen's January report, which established a timeline of the last interactive events on Mr. O'Keefe's phone, correct?
Correct.
Your Honor, could we please publish Exhibit 39, which is in evidence?
Okay.
And if we could go to slide 82 and have 83 available, if we can enlarge the applicable sections. And what I'm going to ask you, Mr. Burgess, is to see whether these events are consistent with your memory of what the applicable events are. Do you see the column biometric device unlock with Face ID event at 12:32:04 a.m.?
Yes.
Now that's after the 12:31:38 a.m. 11:62:2 text stream event that's in Mr. Welcher's slide, correct, that we just saw?
Correct. The unadjusted Lexus clock, yes. Timestamp, yes.
So, but I'm going to repeat the question. The 12:32:04 a.m. device unlock with Face ID event is after the 12:31:38 and 12:31:43 11:62:2 text stream event that is stated in Dr. Welcher's report, correct?
Correct.
Now, do you see the lock event which occurred at 12:32:09?
Yes, I do.
That is also after the 12:31:38 to 12:31:43 text stream event, correct?
Yes, the unadjusted time.
That 12:32:09 a.m. lock event is after the 12:31:38 to 12:31:43 range that is stated in Dr. Welcher's report, correct?
Correct, from the Lexus clock.
So, if we could go back, and we're going to toggle back with Your Honor's permission between these two slides for the next couple questions. If we can go back to and enlarge Dr. Welcher's slide. That 12:31:38 to 12:31:43 time period is what your colleague, the licensed engineer, Dr. Welcher, chose and his slide analysis as the last user interaction, according to him, on John O'Keefe's phone, correct? That's what he chose.
Yes, the 12:32:09, yes.
Now, if we could go back to and zero in, please. Now, but even Mr. Whiffin's report establishes additional activity on Mr. O'Keefe's phone after the event chosen by Dr. Welcher, correct?
Correct.
And, in fact, Mr. Whiffin identifies a, quote, lock event that occurred 26 seconds after the 11:62:2 text stream event identified by Dr. Welcher at 12:31:38 to 12:31:43, correct?
Correct, using the unadjusted clock.
I would like, does Dr. Welcher at all use the words unadjusted clock in his slide, sir?
No, he does not.
Okay, what I'd like to do is ask you a question about whether, in fact, Mr. Whiffin identifies a lock event that occurred 26 seconds after the 1162-2 text stream event at 12:31:38 to 12:43 as stated in your colleague's report, Dr. Welcher, the slide presentation. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Do you know whether a lock event on an iPhone requires human interaction?
Typically, yes, it would.
Is it just typically, or does it?
Well, it does. And in this case specifically, I believe it was via the lock button.
Correct. But this specific instance, the lock, it requires somebody, a human being, to actually press a button on the side, correct?
Unless it's auto locking, yes, it requires a button press, yes.
Do you have any reason to believe that the iPhone of Mr. O'Keefe had an auto locking function on it, sir?
No, as I said, he used the lock button.
Right. If we can enlarge that, do you see the end of health event 36 steps that we talked yesterday that was covering a distance of over 84 feet? Do you see that occurring at 12:32:16 a.m.?
I don't believe we talked about that yesterday, but yes, I do see that.
Do you see it?
I do, yes.
And that's also after the 12:31:38 to 12:31:43 text stream event identified by your colleague, the licensed engineer, Dr. Welcher, in his slide, correct?
Correct.
Now, finally, do you see the entry pocket state detected at 12:33:14 a.m.? You see that, sir?
Objection.
Sustained.
Do you know what a pocket state is, sir?
I do know what a pocket state is.
Do you know when the pocket states occurred on the iPhone of John O'Keefe pursuant to your analysis of his phone?
I do not.
You didn't analyze pocket state detections on Mr. O'Keefe's phone?
No, I did not personally.
Do you believe pocket state detected data? Well, let me just go back and confirm. So you didn't analyze with any source pocket state detection information with regard to Mr. O'Keefe's phone. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So let's go back and summarize for each of the ones you did look at and analyze that you just testified. Every single one of those that we just discussed, those user interaction events, occurred after Dr. Welcher claims a collision occurred as represented in a text stream event of 11:62:2 at 12:31:38 to 12:31:43, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
Do you understand? If we can go back, please, to Dr. Welcher's slide. Highlight the text again, please, Mr. Wolk. Do you understand that Dr. Welcher is correlating the infotainment trigger 1162.2 with an alleged collision? Do you understand that?
Objection.
Let's come to sidebar, please.